Campfire Classics is a classic literature podcast. However, your hosts will occasionally use not-so-classy language and immature humor to describe very mature situations. As such, listener discretion is advised. Hi, I'm Ken Sandberg.
And I'm Heather Michelle Lawler.
Welcome to Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
Technology is the devil.
Wow, that was a very Luddite refrain.
Yeah, well, it's true, because my computer's in the hospital. Thoughts and prayers, please.
Do you have a prognosis?
Well, I think that the charging ports are dead. So about 3 or 4 months ago, the first one went down, and I was like, okay, sure. And then, like, without any notice, the other one just stopped working. So they think all I have to do is change my charging ports. So it's getting done in-house at the Apple Store here. So I should know in the next day or 3. They said it would be 3 to 5 days from when I dropped it off.
Oh, well, that's a long inpatient procedure.
It is a long inpatient procedure, especially when, like, my life happens by submitting and doing things via my computer. So
it is that fucked up thing that's happened in the world where, like, you know, for a while it was like, oh, it's so weird and convenient that we can do all of this shit, like, on our laptop, on our phone, on our whatever. And then there was a little bit of like, okay, it's getting to be a little much. And now all of a sudden you take that away and, like, I don't know how I would function.
Oh.
In modern society, it's,
well,
you can't.
And I'm very privileged because I have an iPhone, an iPad, and a laptop, but I am very much old school in the fact that if I don't have a keyboard, I don't do well at sending emails that don't have, I mean, I have trouble sending emails without typos in it with my keyboard. So the idea of sending, like, an official email to, like, casting or something from my phone stresses me out. Plus, all my files are on my computer, like my headshots, my resumes, all that shit is there. So that's why we're a day late, and that's why, surprise, Ken will be picking a story for me again because he was able to do research.
Oh, yeah. I kind of forgot that was also a weird thing.
Yeah,
but
it happens. I was just like, I couldn't figure out, like, how to copy paste and do the word count on my other devices, and Ken's like, I'll do it.
It's fine. There was a stretch there when, not to pull back the curtain on the lie that is podcasting too much, but there was a stretch there where I was the one doing the research for every episode, because while we were having guest readers, when Emily was our longtime guest host, and a couple of there were times when it was like, you know what, I miss reading the story, but I know how this research thing works. So, like, I'll just do all of that and hand you a piece of paper, and all you have to do is read it.
Oh, that's nice.
Just read it. So it was a big fat lie, and I did all of the research for months.
That's a big fat lie. Well, it wasn't. I mean,
the information was all true as far as I can tell.
You were just not necessarily always getting it firsthand. Or getting it secondhand.
Yeah.
You were always getting it firsthand and pretending you were getting it secondhand.
So all of those stories that I was going, oh my God, what story is this? Yeah, I picked that.
Well, yeah, but you still hadn't read the story.
I still hadn't read the story.
So it wasn't all a lie.
No.
The facade of who picked the story was a facade, but the story still goes unread no matter what. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're sort of broaching into the what it is we do here at Campfire Classics, which is, of course, we read short stories that we've pulled from the public domain. We read them sight unseen, and we try not to fuck them up too much.
You know what I think killed my computer?
What?
Clown Corner.
Funny you should mention that.
Oh, is it happening again?
So we actually got significant thank yous for the return of sort of Creepy Clown Corner.
I literally just thought of that. We brought back that Creepy Clown Corner. I did all that research on those creepy haunted dolls, and then my computer dies.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So we're not going back to Clown Corner per se. This is actually going to be a return to Creep Corner.
Creep Corner.
Because I like that.
I like Creep Corner. I can get down with that. It's a little more inclusive.
Yeah. It's not just clowns.
Which are creepy enough.
Which are creepy enough as they are, but we're covering a broader spectrum.
A variety of creepy
stuff. A variety of creepy.
A variety of creeps.
So, yes, welcome to Creep Corner. I don't know what music snippet I just played just there, but it was something.
I don't know, yeah. I can kind of hear it already, even though I have no idea what you're going to use. But
So, last week's dolls were Nightmare Fuel. Did you ever post those pictures, by the way? Pictures of those dolls?
I probably didn't because my computer's been dead for 4 days.
Died, yeah.
So, sorry, y'all. I do have them. We can maybe find them on Ken's. If not, when I get my computer back, I will get those up. They are saved.
Yeah.
But,
so anyway, in the vein of stupid, creepy shit that you can buy online, I present this from Etsy, the Hunter Killer Death Spell.
Ew, what?
Okay, so this comes from an Etsy seller called Black Horse 777, and he sells spells and curses.
Oh no, I don't like that at all. Like, I'm a straight up witch, but like let's not go to the dark side, y'all.
And
what you put out there, you get back 3 times.
And oh boy, does he ever.
Oh my God. There's a Grim Reaper on Ken's computer.
So, from this Etsy post, this is a death spell involving 4 demons.
God.
Each demon will attack and weaken your target, setting them up for the final blow to be delivered by the demon Glossia Labolis.
Final blow.
and the name is Labolis.
The bolus.
Anyway, Glossia Labolis will be petitioned to cause bloodshed to your target. Bloodshed may come about by direct physical harm or by creating a disease provoking someone to attack and kill the target or causing the target to have a deadly accident.
Oh my God, I hate it so much. Someone's selling this shit on Etsy?
Yes. This spell will be done by me, and nothing will be shipped to you. Oh my God. The spell is for entertainment purposes only. The services are not available to those under 18 years old.
Oh my God.
Now,
how
to
much
be clear,
is it?
So that is a $300 spell.
Of course it is.
That is a $300 spell.
Who the fuck is like, yeah, I'm going to give this stranger $300 and he's not even going to give me anything.
This seller has spells ranging from, it looks like, $150 up to $300, including things like demonic protection and binding spell, revenge hospital spell, demonic spell / curse of destruction, haunted house attack revenge spell.
I hate everything on this guy's page.
And so we're clear, this dude has made 224 confirmed sales.
Of course he has. See, this is why I have learned some spells. Well, I've learned a process that can, it's supposed to determine if you are under a curse or under a hex. Because if your life's going weird, there's a thing where you throw matches into this water and blah, blah, blah. Because I guess just anyone can fucking go out there and like hire a witch now. And I like to think I haven't done anything to anyone that's worth $300 on Etsy to a stranger. But, you know, you never know.
For those of you who are wondering, he actually comes very highly rated.
Oh, good.
With an average of like 4.8 stars on his reviews.
Has anyone confirmed that someone died?
Including, from the Hunter
scared.
Killer Death Spell, excellent communication, waiting to see results.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
From the multi-demoned mind control spell. Unfortunately, did not work in the time frame given. My offenders are still walking around enjoying their life like nothing. The seller does respond to your inquiries quite quickly, though, and customer service was great.
Customer service and response time was great, but it doesn't work, is what they just wrote.
Yep.
Also, just because someone's walking around still doesn't mean they're not being haunted by demons, I guess is what I would say. I don't know the details of that spell, but It sounds like demonic possession. So they could still be walking around, but then at night they're haunted by a demon. I don't know.
Now, my most sort of disturbed review, the one I find most upsetting, is a 5-star review for the Hunter Killer Death Spell.
Okay.
I am a return buyer.
Oh, Jesus.
Trust the process.
Oh, my God. Well, hey, we have a really important election coming up, and I'm willing to start a GoFundMe to raise $300 to send a certain somebody one of these spells. If anyone's into it, no, I mean, whatever that means. I'm not saying any names because I don't want the FBI coming for me. But,
Black Horse 777 does live in Washington, D.C.
well, fuck.
Throwing that into the universe.
All right. Well, good to know. I don't know his political leaning or their political leanings. I don't know who it is.
I mean, I guess I've been saying him because based on the writing, he gives
very masculine,
bro-y energy.
Which is why I'm like, I don't know that person's political leanings. So, good job, Black Horse 777. Please don't put a curse on me or Ken or any of my loved ones. Thanks.
Much appreciated.
We're giving free promo.
Right?
No reason to ever send anything negative our way.
Nah, we're basically advertising your shit.
There you go. You're welcome.
Anyway,
that was indeed Creepy Corner.
This has been Creep Corner, brought to you by Campfire Classics.
Oh.
Where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
That's upset. I'm going to go make a protection jar later.
But that is not what we do. As I mentioned before, we read short stories that have been pulled out of the public domain and we say weird shit about them.
Yeah.
Kind of,
I mean, we say weird shit about most things.
About
like
most
Creep
things.
Corner and my computer. And
yeah. Penis jokes and...
Yeah, final blow.
Yeah. We even managed to make a penis joke out of a demon name.
Yep. See, there are no limitations to our juvenile humor.
This week, I have selected a story for Heather to read. It'll actually be a shorter story than usual, a little on the short side, but the author had an interesting story, and I wanted to talk about her.
Ooh.
So I don't care that this story is a little short.
No, I love it. That's great.
So this week's author is, I'm like 98% sure, new to us, though she was married for 13 years to a Campfire Classics regular.
Oh.
So there's your first little hint. Born in 1883 in what is today Ukraine, though the actual specific town is, they're not sure what town she was born in. Sonia, whose whole early biography is a little unclear, either Haft Shafirkin or Sonia Shafirkin Haft, because really record keeping in the 1880s was shitty.
Yeah.
And they're not sure which order her name was.
Especially if you were not a rich white man.
Right, yeah.
I mean, like, that's legit.
She was born a poor Jewish girl.
Yes, exactly.
In Ukraine.
Yeah.
In the 1880s.
Yeah.
Her father died when she was 5. Probably.
Okay.
Seriously, record keeping was really shitty. He just sort of disappeared.
He was no longer around. Yeah.
And her mother moved to America. Alone.
Without her?
Leaving Sonia and her brother in Liverpool in the care of some rich baron.
Oh, in Liverpool, England?
Yep.
Oh, so she took them as far as England and then did not take
them
to
and then said, peace.
Now, I will say, I know there are some people that, like, they go over, and I feel like I heard this on a recent, like, podcast or something, like, if parents were especially coming from like Eastern countries, they would go through England or France or like one of the like very European countries. And
we saw it in Reluctant Traveler.
That's what it was. It was in Reluctant Traveler. I was like, oh my God, when did I hear this? Because it was a whole family story. And a lot of times the like parental figure will go over first to the United States to establish like a home and establish some security and then send for the children.
which
But
is...
it sounds like she sold the children to a baron.
No,
which,
that is in
okay.
fact exactly what was happening here.
It was? Oh, okay.
I was merely presenting it to you the way I ran across the research because it kind of fucked me up when I was like, so her mom left her kids in Liverpool and moved to America.
Okay.
And she got married to some dude in Brooklyn.
Okay. So it was totally intended to just...
But yes.
Okay. Well, see, everyone, I highly recommend Reluctant Traveler by with Eugene Levy.
Great series.
Really great series on Apple TV. Anyway, I would have never thought of that unless we had seen that episode. So, yeah.
But no, so a few years later, Sonia did follow her mom and joined her in the States.
Yay! In Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn, yeah. When she was 16, Sonia married husband number 1. Spoilers, there are 2 more husbands coming.
Oh, she like Betsy.
Yeah. She outlived all 3 of them.
Damn right.
So husband number 1 is a guy named Samuel Greene.
Okay.
He was 26. She was 16.
I mean, honestly, 16 is old for those days. So,
apparently, it was a turbulent marriage for 16 years.
16 years. Damn.
At which point he died, probably of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Record keeping was dodgy.
Record keeping was dodgy, and I have a feeling he didn't treat her very nicely.
He sure didn't.
Maybe he just happened to fell into the kitchen knife 10 times.
So anyway,
Quoting
he died.
Chicago.
He died somehow, but not before giving Sonia 1 daughter.
Okay.
A girl named Florence who would grow up to disown her mother when she said Florence wasn't allowed to marry her own uncle.
Okay, I've been rewatching House of the Dragon, so I hate that I was like, like there was a moment where I was like, nope, fantasy world, not real. Ew, what?
Yeah.
She just owned her mom because her mom wouldn't let her marry her uncle?
That was apparently the sort of final straw on the camel's back that was their tempestuous relationship.
Okay, well, that's all right.
So Sonia Greene, as she was known by now, and as that's the name that she sort of became most associated with, was Sonia Greene.
Kind of like Betsy Ross.
Kind of like Betsy Ross, yeah. Worked as a milliner, a hat maker.
Hat maker.
And made enough money to live comfortably on her own with her not yet ungrateful daughter in Flatbush.
Ooh.
Which was actually a fairly nice neighborhood at the time.
Yeah.
In 1921, she met H.P. Lovecraft.
Did she marry H.P. Lovecraft? Holy shit.
She had begun writing and publishing in amateur magazines and had published her own fanzine. A fanzine was a non-professional magazine that was dedicated to something you're a fan of, to like whatever subject or genre or
cool.
information you're a fan of. And Lovecraft had read and favorably reviewed her work.
Well, you know what? That's awesome. Good for her.
Yeah. So they started working together, kind of sitting down and writing together, proofreading each other's work, often editing each other's work.
Yeah, they did.
And in 1924, they got married.
All right.
She was 40. He was 33.
See, there you go, girl. Now that's now when you're that age, you can choose to marry a little bit younger, but that's still like not as far apart as the first one.
7 years instead of 10 years, and it makes a much less of a difference when you're 40.
40 and 33 plus, get it, girl. Get it.
So get it. Sorta.
Oh.
Let me continue.
Yeah, I was going to say, you said she had third husband, so this clearly doesn't work out. But
so
she got it for a while.
Sonia's hat shop closed.
Oh, no.
And she essentially became a traveling saleswoman.
Okay.
Sending money back home to Lovecraft to support him because he could not pay the bills.
Ironically, isn't it? Yeah, funny. Artists. They were probably like, get her a job.
Yeah.
He's like, I love writing.
So he was unable to pay the bill. So she was supporting both of them. Her from the road. She was only making it home like 1 or 2 nights a month.
Oh, man.
As life of the traveling salesperson often is.
I'm just imagining her on a train right now singing the song from Music Man.
And eventually after after 6 years of marriage, they agreed to get a divorce.
Okay.
However, if you were paying attention to the beginning of this, she was married to a Campfire Classics regular for 13 years.
Oh.
Here's why.
Oh.
The divorce was never finalized because they were separated. And although he said he would file all the final paperwork, he kind of went, good enough.
Oh, my God, Ross Geller, get your shit together. That was a Friends reference. I'm sorry.
And then he died in 1937, finally legally ending the marriage.
Is that when she found out?
However, Sonia didn't know that.
Because she was already remarried.
She didn't know that her ex-husband was in fact still her husband when she married husband number 3 in 1936.
And let's talk about paperwork being shitty again. Yeah. Wow.
Because Lovecraft had assured her that he had filed the paperwork. And she didn't learn that Lovecraft died until 1945.
Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't he kind of a big deal?
Yeah, but like only in certain circles, right?
I
He wasn't
guess.
like it's not like I don't know, fucking Steven Spielberg or whatever. Like it was not a
Well, I mean, it was a different time, but like I would assume, I mean, he had a pretty prolific career even at the time. I mean, he's become more famous probably in his passing, as many artists do, but like I'm surprised it wasn't in like the newspapers.
Yeah.
Or like a friend of a friend knew. Like that's,
you would think someone would have told her, but no, he'd been dead for 8 years by the time she found out.
That's fucking amazing.
But what that also means is that her marriage to her third husband
not official.
Was illegal. It was bigamy for the first year that they were together.
But it wasn't, because it was just the fault of a stupid man not doing what he said he would do. No wonder she fucking divorced him.
A thing that she didn't find out until much later in life. In fact, she didn't learn that her third marriage was on dodgy legal ground until after her third husband died.
That makes me happy, because at least that didn't like affect, not that he could blame her for being like, you didn't get a divorce? She goes, I signed the paperwork. I mean, it's like that fucking movie Sweet Home Alabama. It's like when Ross and Rachel get married. I mean, this is like a trope in a lot of like things of like, if just because one of them wants the divorce, if the other one says, yeah, I gave the paperwork over. If they didn't, especially back in the day where you couldn't just get online and like check and see if it was filed, how would you know? And
when women weren't allowed to do that.
Literally were not allowed, like could not even have their own accounts and stuff. So how would she know? Yeah.
So anyway, husband number 3 died in 1946, a year after she found out husband number 2 died. They'd been married for what? A decade at that point.
Okay. So in the 60s, like she was almost 60 by then. She married HP. Okay, yeah. Okay.
And her literary work throughout her life consisted mostly of sort of amateur writing, essays, editorials, and then editing the work of other people. She died
H.P. Lovecraft.
Like H.P. Lovecraft. She died in Los Angeles on December 26th, 1972, at age 89.
All right.
Yeah.
That's my grandpa's birthday.
This week, you will be reading a story she wrote in 1922, encouraged by H.P. Lovecraft. She published it a year later in 1923. It was published under the title The Invisible Monster, although it was alternately called The Horror at Martin's Beach. Some publications give Lovecraft credit as partial author, as co-author for it. Some call it her story.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what you'll be reading. So
he would try and take credit anyway.
Naturally.
Whatever.
Let's start this fight.
Let's do it. The Invisible Monster by Sonia Greene.
Her on Wikipedia, her full name is Sonia Greene Lovecraft Davis.
Love it. Fabulous. I have never heard an even approximately adequate explanation of the horror at Martin's Beach.
All right.
That's a good line. That's a
good
good opener. Despite the large number of witnesses, no two accounts agree, and the testimony taken by local authorities contains the most amazing discrepancies. Perhaps, paperwork sucked, so we've established that.
Good Lord, the theme.
The theme
paperwork
of today,
sucks.
the paper trail sucks.
Dear listener, if you disagree and think that paperwork is fun, stop listening to this podcast. You're wrong.
Not that paperwork isn't fun, it's just that it's not very good at keeping track of shit. I mean, Perhaps this haziness is natural in view of the unheard of character of the horror itself, the almost paralytic terror of all who saw it, and the efforts made by the fashionable Wavecrest Inn to hush it up after the publicity created by Professor Alton's article, quote, "Are hypnotic powers confined to recognized humanity?" Unquote. Okay,
First of all,
that was a long sentence.
Paralytic Terror, name of my grunge band, I called it.
Yes, trademark.
Second of all,
so there's a
fashionable Wavecrest. So we got a bunch of fancy rich folks trying
with a seaside inn
trying to hush shit up.
Well, yeah, because people won't want to stay there if there's some crazy shit. And then we have a professor that's like, can unseen entities like possess hypnotic powers?
Your mind.
So fun times.
And then third and finally, as we're looking, if we run across a place in Maine called the Wavecrest Inn, we have to get married there.
Okay, is this in Maine? It's in Boston.
But
okay, so not far.
The Lovecraftian stuff is all sort of
in that
northeast
area. Yeah. Okay. Deal. I'm into it. I've already started thinking of my trip overseas. I kind of want to stay at some haunted places. I kind of got sucked into that rabbit hole today on my phone.
Ooh.
I was like, haunted places I could stay.
Scotland's most haunted castles.
Yeah, and like, seriously though, there's some like haunted, creepy places.
Yeah, go check out Inverness.
Oh, I've been there. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason I believe in ghosts, because I grew up in fucking the UK, and we stayed in some creepy places, and I had some creepy experiences. Anyway, all right. So we've got something going on down here at the Wavecrest Inn. Against all these obstacles, I am striving to present a coherent version. For I beheld the hideous. Hello, Heather.
I beheld the hiney.
I beheld the hiney. I'll
hold your hiney.
Hiney, hoony, hiney. I apologize. Cut all that out.
No. Absolutely not.
Tiny, hiney, hoony, hiney, hoo. Tiny, hiney, doody, doody, doo. Against all these obstacles, I am striving to present a coherent version, for I beheld the hideous occurrence and believe it should be known in view of the appalling possibilities it suggests. Martin's Beach is once more popular as a watering place, but I shudder when I think of it. Indeed, I cannot look at the ocean at all now without shuddering. Well, that's too bad. Fate is not always without a sense of drama and climax, hence...
Yeah. Fate should climax more often. Maybe if Fate climaxed more often,
it wouldn't be such a bitch. If we could just satisfy Fate a little bit more with orgasms galore, maybe life would be better. Honestly, just if everyone was more satisfied in general with just what they have, or, I'm not even talking sexually, I'm just being very philosophical at the moment.
Yeah, but sex too.
Sex too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and...
if that's what you're into.
Yeah.
And it's consensual. But yeah, Fate should get some love too.
So make lots of noise and kiss lots of boys, or kiss lots of girls if that's something you're into. Straight and narrow gets a little too straight. Roll up a joint or not. And follow your
arrow wherever it points. Okay, thanks, Casey Musgraves. Not an official sponsor of the podcast yet.
But the podcast is an official fan.
Is an absolutely official fan. Fate is not always without a sense of drama and climax. Hence, the terrible happenings of August 8th, 1922, swiftly followed a period of minor and agreeable wonder-fraught excitement at Martin's Beach. On May 17th, the crew of the fishing schmack... What's a fishing schmack? I love that I'm adding an H to it. It's a fishing smack, but schmack just sounds more fun.
Fishing schmack.
Fishing schmack.
Ha! Welcome to the fish schmack.
Or is it just supposed to be a fishing shack? And it's a M that has been mistyped.
A smack was a traditional fishing boat used off the coast of Britain and the Atlantic coast of America for most of the 19th century and in small numbers up to the Second World War. And then lots of information about them, but basically they look like that.
Oh, so it's a boat with sails.
Yep, it's a sailboat.
It's a little mini pirate ship. Okay, cool. On May 17th, the crew of the fishing smack Alma of Gloucester, under Captain James P. Orne, killed, after a battle of nearly 40 hours, a marine monster whose size and aspect produced the greatest possible stir in scientific circles and caused certain Boston naturalists to take every precaution for its taxidermal preservation.
You're missing a letter.
For its taxidermical preservation.
There we go. All right,
so it's like a giant squid or something.
You fucking killed the Kraken.
The Kraken, yeah. Like, is this a Kraken? I mean, well, I'm gonna bet H.P. Lovecraft stole some shit from his girl. She was older, wiser, and robbing the cradle a little, and then he didn't want to let her go. I'm just saying, he is pretty responsible for the big octopusy monster, right?
Cthulhu?
Yeah, that one. So I'm just saying that it's already there. It's already there. Okay. I'm just saying, she's writing about a fucking monster in the sea that's killing people. Just putting it out there.
I'm checking on the timeline. What year did I say this was?
22.
Call of Cthulhu, his first appearance doesn't come out until 28.
Bitch, told you. Totally stole this. Now, we don't know what kind of monster it is yet, but I'm just saying I am not even a connoisseur of his work. I've read some of it on the podcast, but I know that he has a octopussy monster is what I will continue to call it because it's funny.
He has a pussy monster?
Yes. And it's not climaxed in so long, so it's unsatisfying.
Which is why it's so cranky.
It's why it's killing all these fishermen. Maybe this is all like a
prequel?
No, not a prequel. It's a hidden message from our author saying her octopussy monster is very upset with H.P. Lovecraft.
So satisfy the pussy monster or people gonna die.
People gonna die. Ain't it true? All right. So we've got a taxidermical preservation of it too.
Feed the beast.
Feed the beast. I'm so excited to see if it is of that vibe because, wow.
I mean, it's going to be a sea creature of some kind.
Yeah, exactly. The object was some 50 feet in length, of roughly cylindrical shape, and about 10 feet in diameter. It was unmistakably a gilled fish in its major affiliations, but with certain curious modifications, such as rudimentary forelegs and 6-toed feet in place of pectoral fins, which prompted the widest speculation. Its extraordinary mouth, its thick and scaly hide, and its single deep-set eye were wonders scarcely less remarkable than its colossal dimensions. And when the naturalists pronounced it an infant orgasm.
Infant orgasm?
Organism.
Those are less important. The infant orgasms.
No, we don't want those. Deep-set eye were wonders scarcely less remarkable than its colossal dimensions. And when the naturalists pronounced it an infant organism, which could not have been hatched more than a few days, public interest mounted to extraordinary heights. So this is a baby.
Yep.
And by baby, infant baby.
Yeah, we're talking like a few days old.
That's wild. Captain Orn, with typical Yankee shrewdness, obtained a vessel large enough to hold the object in its hull and arranged for the exhibition of his prize. All men walking around with a giant exhibition for their prize.
A giant prize in the hull.
Bullshit. With judicious...
Hey, let me show you my pectoral foot.
Let me show you the object in my hull. Come on down to the poop deck. What? Hey.
Hey, is that a sea monster in my poop deck or...
Or did I just go too far on Grindr? Yeah. Anyway, with judicious carpentry, he prepared what amounted to be an excellent marine museum, and sailing south to the wealthy resort district of Martin's Beach, anchored at the hotel wharf and reaped a harvest of admission fees. The intrinsic marvelousness of the object and the importance which it clearly bore in the minds of many scientific visitors from near and far combined to make it the season's sensation. That it was absolutely unique to a scientifically revolutionary degree, was well understood. The naturalists had shown plainly that it radically differed from the similarly immense fish caught off the Florida coast, that while it was obviously an inhabitant of almost incredible depths, perhaps thousands of feet, its brain and principal organs indicated a development startlingly
We got there. Do you want to leave the stammering in, or do you want to go back and take the whole sentence?
I like it. Fucking own it. That's I got to and I went, it's one of those words that breaks my brain.
Right. So the startling development.
The startlingly vast. It was a development startlingly vast and out of all proportion to anything hitherto associated with the fish tribe. On the morning of July 20th, the sensation was increased by the loss of the vessel and its strange treasure. In the storm of the preceding night, it had broken from its moorings and vanished forever from the sight of man, carrying with it the guard who had slept aboard despite the threatening weather. Captain Orn, backed by intensive scientific interests and aided by large numbers of fishing boats from Gloucester, made a thorough and exhaustive searching cruise, but with no result other than the prompting of interest and conversation. By August 7th, hope was abandoned, and Captain Orn had returned to the Wavecrest Inn to wind up his business affairs at Martin's Beach and confer with certain of the scientific men who remained there. The horror came on August 8th.
I like that as an opening line, too.
Yeah.
The horror came on August 8th.
And you have to make sure you pronounce that right, because if you just say the horror came on August 8th.
And August 9th and August 10th.
Only when paid properly.
Well, I mean, ideally, the horror would come frequently, right?
I mean, I'm going to guess the people paying for sex workers
I'm saying
are
ideally.
Great at what they do. Sex, I support it. I support it, but I'm going to guess a lot of those people are not after their pleasure. They just are like, here's $100.
It's very much not a satisfaction guaranteed kind of industry.
No, it is not. It was in the twilight when gray seabirds hovered low near the shore and a rising moon began to make a glittering path across the waters. The scene is important to remember, for every impression counts. On the beach were several strollers and a few late bathers, stragglers from the distant cottage colony that rose modestly on a green hill to the north, or from the adjacent cliff perched in, whose imposing towers proclaimed its allegiance to wealth and grandeur. Well within viewing distance was another set of spectators, the loungers on the inn's high-ceilinged and lantern-lighted veranda. That's some good alliteration up in that bitch. Up on the veranda, whose up on the veranda who appeared to be enjoying the dance music from the sumptuous ballroom inside. It sounds like a wedding happening.
Or something, yeah.
These spectators, who included Captain Orn and his group of scientific confreres. Ew. Hoity-toity.
The folks with whom he was conferencing.
Yes.
Confreres.
Who included Captain Orn and his group of scientific confreres, joined the beach group before the horror progressed far, as did many more from the inn. Certainly, there were no lack of witnesses, confused though their stories be with fear and doubt of what they saw. There is no exact record of the time the thing began, although a majority say that the fairly round moon was about a foot above the low-laying vapors of the horizon. They mention the moon because what they saw seems subtly connected with it, a sort of stealthy, deliberate, menacing ripple which rolled in from the far skyline along the shimmering lane of reflected moonbeams, yet which seemed to subside before it reached the shore. Ooh, that's creepy. Yeah. Many did not notice this ripple until reminded of later events, but it seems to have been very marked, differing in height and motion from the normal waves around it. Some called it cunning and calculating, and as it died away craftily by the black reefs afar out, there suddenly came, belching up out of that glitter-streaking brine, a cry of death. A scream of anguish and despair that moved pity even while it mocked it. Ugh.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go back to the beach.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. First to respond to the cry were the two lifeguards then on duty. Sturdy fellows in white bathing attire with their calling proclaimed in large red letters across their chests. Well, I'm glad those uniforms have never changed.
Lifeguard.
Baywatch time, baby. Hasselhoff's here. The Hoff has arrived.
Well, that's why everything got out of hand. Because the lifeguards were the first people on the scene, and they do fucking everything in slow motion.
That's true, yeah.
It took too long getting there.
Hoff and Pamela Anderson were just running in slow motion, like boom, 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 bong, boom.
That was a really good bit if you could see us running in slow motion.
Yes. Though I will say often when I go to the beach, I will do a fake slow motion because it's funny.
It is really hard to run in slow motion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you really can't. They clearly do it with, post.
Right.
But yes.
But like in Mac, we had a couple of moments where we were doing a run that was attempting to be in slow motion, and it was like it's hard.
Yeah, we did an entire
exhausting.
slow motion skit. Well, parts of it were in slow motion when I did that show at Colonial Williamsburg. There was like that Brandon created.
Yeah.
It was like a whole slow motion like section, and it's very hard. Like your muscles get used in ways they are not used to being used. All right, speaking of muscles, back to the Hoff. Accustomed as they were to rescue work and to the screams of the drowning, they could find nothing familiar in this unearthly ululation. Ululation.
Yes, that's a word we've looked up.
I was correct. Ululation. Is it like uvula?
I believe that is where it comes from, but
Yeah.
basically it's like a howl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An unearthly
An unearthly
ululation. Familiar in this unearthly
ululation.
Ululation. There it is. I speak English. Yet, with a trained sense of duty, they ignored the strangeness and proceeded to follow their usual course. Good lifeguards.
Also, like, accustomed as they were to rescue work and to the screams of the drowning. What fucking beach do they work at where they're just like, oh yeah, someone's screaming and drowning, must be Tuesday?
I mean, it happens. Yeah, but that is pretty dark. It's probably a really rocky shore. It sounds like there's a reef, so people like crash into it and break their bodies. And
well, and if these fucking weird
creatures have been around,
chest-footed fish live down in the water, it's possibly they just sucking
they've been
people
getting
down and
pulled people in. Hastily seizing an air cushion, which with its attached coil of rope lay around at hand, one of them ran swiftly along the shore to the scene of the gathering crowd, whence, after whirling it about him to gain momentum, he flung the hollow disc far out in the direction from which the sound had come. Oh, so it's like a buoy. It's a life buoy.
Yeah, it's one of those life rings.
But it's like air. It blows up with air, I guess. Yeah. As it's a little like thing you buy at the beach stores, and you're like, whoop, 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 but it's like an official version.
It's like the ones that you saw if you see like old cruise ships, you see a bunch of them hanging out the side.
Oh yeah, we had about ours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's one of those.
yeah. As the cushion disappeared in the waves, the crowd curiously awaited a sight of the hapless being whose distress had been so great, eager to see the rescue made by the massive rope. But that rescue was soon acknowledged to be no swift and easy matter, for pull as they might on the rope, the two muscular guards could not move the object at the other end. Instead, they found that object pulling with equal or even greater force in the very opposite direction, till in a few seconds they were dragged off their feet and into the water by the strange power which had seized off the preferred life preserver. Okay, so they're playing tug of war with the beast.
So it's David Hasselhoff and Pamela Anderson trying to pull this thing back onto land, but because it's Chuck Norris out in the water, they never had a chance.
It's Chuck Norris. Okay. One of them, recovering himself, called immediately for help from the crowd on the shore, to whom he flung the remaining coil of rope, and in a moment the guards were seconded by all the hardier men. Why can't the women help? Among whom Captain Orne was foremost. More than a dozen strong hands were now tugging desperately at the stout line, yet wholly without avail. Hard as they tugged, the strange force at the other end tugged harder, and since neither side relaxed for an instant, the rope became rigid as steel with the enormous strain. The struggle... They've been tugging on the rope too long. It's super hard.
Rigid as steel. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
You got like a dozen men tugging on the rope.
Just give it a break.
Just, give fate. No, never mind. The struggling participants, as well as the spectators, were by this time consumed with curiosity as to the nature of the force in the sea. The idea of a drowning man had long been dismissed, and hints of whales, submarines, monsters, and demons now passed freely around. Maybe they talked to, what's his name, 777.
Yeah.
Someone got in touch with Etsy.
A disgruntled employee from the Wavecrest Inn got in touch with Black Horse 777.
Black Horse 777 was like, I would like to summon a demon of the ocean, please. Yeah. Thank you.
That's what's going on.
Yeah, it just, it kind of ties to everything together. I like it. Where humanity had first led the rescuers, wonder kept them at their task, and they hauled with a grim determination to uncover the mystery. It had been decided at last that a whale must have swallowed the air cushion. Captain Orne, as a natural leader, shouted to those on shore that a boat must be obtained in order to approach, harpoon, and land the unseen Levian, say it.
You're pretty. Leviathan.
I knew it. I was like, where is it? Where is it? Where is the word? There it is.
Leprechaun.
The unseen leprechaun.
No, Leviathan.
All right. So he wants to get a boat to obtain in order to approach, harpoon, and land the unseen Leviathan. Several men at once prepared to scatter in quest of a suitable craft, while others came to supplant the captain at the straining rope, since his place was logically with whatever boat party might be formed. His own idea of the situation was very broad and by no means limited to whales, since he had to do with a monster so much stranger. He wondered what might be the acts and manifestations of an adult of the species of which the 50-foot creature had been the merest infant. Mommy's back and she's pissed you took her baby.
Yeah. This is what happens when you kill a baby.
Well, I guess it got away.
Well, but they fought it and killed it, and it was its corpse that they were displaying.
Oh, I didn't know it was dead.
That's taxidermical preservation. You don't taxidermy something that's alive.
Oh, I just thought they wanted to taxidermy him. I thought he was like in restraints and then escaped.
No, they came across it out in the open sea and
they killed it.
Yeah. People are stupid.
I hope Captain Orn dies.
Oh, this is not going to turn out well for Orn.
No. It's like Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Everyone's cheering for the whale, right? Okay, good. And now there developed with appalling suddenness the crucial fact which changed the entire scene from one of wonder to one of horror, and dazed with fright the assembled band of toilers and onlookers. Captain Orn, turning to leave his post at that rope, found his hands held in their place with unaccountable strength, and in a moment he realized that he was unable to let go of the rope. His plight was instantly divined, and as each companion tested his own situation, the same condition was encountered. The fact could not be denied. Every struggler was irresistibly held in some mysterious bondage to the hempen line, which was slowly, hideously, and relentlessly pulling them out to sea. Okay, so they've like been magnetized to the fucking rope. That's cool. It's like, bye, you gotta cut off your hands now.
That's gonna be a gnarly way to go.
That sucks, man. Speechless horror ensued, a horror in which the spectators were petrified to utter inaction and mental chaos. Their complete demoralization is reflected in the conflicting accounts they give and the sheepish excuses they offer for their seemingly callous inertia. I was one of them, and no. It's like I just stood back and was
Everyone
like, I ain't
was just
gonna
standing watching. It was fucked up. Oh, I mean, I did it too.
Oh yeah, I'm like, if a bunch of men are getting pulled out to sea because they literally cannot remove their hands from the rope, I ain't gonna go over and touch the rope. I'm sorry. No. Even the strugglers, after a few frantic screams and futile groans, succumbed to the paralyzing influence and kept silent and fatalistic in the face of unknown powers. There they stood in the pallid moonlight, blindly pulling against a spectral doom and swaying monotonously backward and forward as the water rose first to their knees, then to their hips. The moon went partly under a cloud, and in the half-light the line of swaying men resembled some sinister and gigantic centipede, writhing in the clutch of a terrible, creeping death. It's the original human centipede. All right. Harder and harder grew the rope. Oh, see, they just keep tugging. Just keep on tugging.
So what you have to do is you either have to stop tugging, or you have to tug until there's a little sort of well, you'll feel a little bit of a release.
Well, they're in the wet. Harder and harder grew the rope as they tug in both directions. Oh, wait. Harder and harder grew the rope as the tug in both directions increased, and the strands swelled with the undisturbed soaking of the rising waves. Slowly the tide advanced, till the sands so lately peopled by laughing children and whispering lovers were now swallowed by the inexorable flow.
Can't fight it. Inexorable.
Yeah. By the inexorable flow. The herd of panic-stricken watchers surged blindly backward as the water crept above their feet, while the frightful line of strugglers swayed hideously on, half submerged and now at a substantial distance from their audience. Silence was complete. The crowd, having gained a huddled pace beyond reach of the tide, stared in mute fascination. without offering a word of advice or encouragement or attempting any kind of assistance. There was in the air a nightmare fear of impending evil such as the world had never before known. Woo!
Why don't you go out past where the people are and slice the rope?
Yeah, does no one have a fucking knife?
Or,
Well,
if you're afraid for the knife to come in contact with it, like, burn the rope.
Oh, yeah. Like, set it on fire?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I think everyone's just like, the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
Minutes seemed lengthened into hours, and still that human snake of swaying torsos. Ew, that's the grossest, that is the grossest imagery I've ever heard. A human snake of swaying torsos?
That's pretty gross.
That's nightmare fuel. That is nightmare
That's
fuel.
pretty gross. Yeah. I don't love
God. That gave me yuckies.
I don't love that at all.
I don't like that at all. Still, the human snake of swaying torsos was seen above the fast-rising tide. Rhythmically, it undulated, slowly, horribly, with the seal of doom upon it. Thicker clouds now passed over the ascending moon, and the glittering path on the waters faded nearly out. Very dimly writhed the serpentine line of nodding heads, with now and then the livid face of a backward-glancing victim gleaming pale in the darkness. Faster and faster gathered the clouds, till at length their angry rifts shot down sharp tongues of febrile flame. Thunders rolled, softly at first, yet soon increasing to a deafening, maddening intensity. Then came a culminating crash, a shock whose reverberations seemed to shake land and sea alike, and on its heels a cloudburst whose drenching violence overpoured the darkened world as if the heavens themselves had opened to pour forth a vindicative torrent. The spectators, instinctively acting despite the absence of conscious and coherent thought, now retreated up the cliff steps to the hotel veranda. Rumors had reached the guests inside, so that the refugees found a state of terror nearly equal to their own. I think a few frightened words were uttered, but cannot be sure. Some who were staying in the inn retired in terror to their rooms, while others remained to watch the fast-sinking victims as the line of bobbing heads showed above the mounting waves in the fitful lightning flashes. I recall thinking of those heads and the bulging eyes they must contain, eyes that might well reflect all the fright, panic, and delirium of a malignant universe, all the sorrow, sin, and misery, blasted hopes and unfulfilled desires, fear, loathing, and anguish of the ages since time's beginning, eyes alit with all the soul-racking pain of eternally blazing infernos. And as I gazed out beyond the heads, my fancy conjured up still another eye, a single eye, equally alight, yet with a purpose so revolting to my brain that the vision soon passed. Held in the clutches of an unknown vise, the line of the damned dragged on, their silent screams and unuttered prayers known only to the demons of the black waves and the night wind. There now burst from the infuriate sky such a mad cataclysm of satanic sound that even the former crash seemed dwarfed. Amidst a blinding glare of descending fire, the voice of heaven resounded with the blasphemies of hell, and the mingled agony of all the lost reverberated in one apocalyptic, planet-rending peal of cyclopean din. It was the end of the storm, for with uncanny suddenness the rain ceased, and the moon once more cast her pallid beams on a strangely quieted sea. There was no line of bobbing heads now. The waters were calm and deserted, and broken only by the fading ripples of what seemed to be a whirlpool far out in the path of the moonlight whence the strange cry had first come. But as I looked along that treacherous lane of silvery sheen with fancy fevered and senses overwrought, There trickled upon my ears from some abysmal sunken waste the faint and sinister echoes of a laugh. The end. Ew, that's fucked up, y'all.
Oh, that was a creepy one.
That was gross. The fucking, I don't think I'll ever recover from the human snake of swaying torsos, man.
Oh.
Yeah, Mommy got pissed, and she came, and Mommy's like a goddess or something, because they done fucked up. Well, did you hear, this actually reminds me of a story I saw yesterday when I was at work.
Okay.
I was like scrolling through like things, and this boat, I think it was Lake Michigan. It was one of the Great Lakes. It may have been Lake Superior. One of the bigger ones. A boat, like a freighter, hit something in the middle of the fucking lake. There is, like, they looked at their radar, like, there was, like, there's no reef. This is not a rock. Like, it's like 150, like, meters deep, like, or whatever, yard, or whatever it is, but, like, fucking deep.
Right.
And they hit something, and they had to get, like, towed in, and nobody knows what they fucking hit.
Oh, it wasn't even just like they felt a bump. It was like they hit something that wrecked them.
It, like, they were taking water on.
Oh, shit.
Like, they hit something huge. Like, and people are like, well, maybe there was an explosion. I'm like, no, they said they hit something. That's a different kind of, like, impact.
Well, and you'll be able to tell the difference.
Yeah.
If there was an explosion on
It'd be
ship, everything's bending out.
And everything was bending in. So they got the Coast Guard out, and they, like, saved. I mean, nobody there were some
died.
injuries,
Right.
but, like, nobody died. They got there in enough time and everything. But, like, everyone's kind of like, the fuck did they hit? And there's this, like, I guess this old school, like, theory that there's, like, an old water-bound dinosaurs that still live in the Great Lakes.
Oh, like the Loch Ness Monster, but over on our side.
But like an actual dinosaur, like, because they have found, like, fossil remains of that kind of dinosaur in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who believe that there are still versions of that in the lakes.
They've just survived down there for 65 million
because
years.
it's really fucking deep, and, like, that's what they can do. But that's what that made me think of this the whole time I was reading it. And they've had all these shark attacks recently. Like, there's been a uptick in shark attacks.
Oh, I didn't know that.
In Florida, so,
Well,
they deserve it. But
I won't say they
I will
deserve
not
it.
say they deserve it. I'm sure the people that were injured, because there were some people that were, I don't believe anyone has died, but there were some critical injuries. So I don't believe that. I love the ocean. It makes me sad when I hear that people are scared of the ocean. But this was a very good story for this week, where there have been some strange marine occurrences in the news. Yeah, I liked it.
All right. Good one. Hey, thanks, Sonia. It's a shame you didn't write more. I'm sorry your boy HP stole all your ideas.
Stole your ideas. Clearly.
Yeah, that was a good story, though.
I really liked it.
Cool.
It was very poetic. If depending on how much Ken edits, you get to hear how stupid my brain is sometimes. But it was really beautiful. And, like, the second we got to it's a ocean creature, I was like, Cthulhu much?
Yeah. Strong vibes.
Strong vibes.
Hey, listener, did you have thoughts about that? Did it conjure anything to mind? If you are a listener who knows more about the Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos than I do you have thoughts where this invisible monster might fall? Shoot us your answers to that, your questions, your quandaries.
They described it as, like, this cylindrical thing with some, like,
with legs.
leggies.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, and a little foot, like that's what an octopus has, is like a foot mouth. If you could see me now, it looks like a little beak I'm creating with my mouth.
If you could see me now,
this little funkin' room.
But yeah, message us all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Also, let me know how you felt about getting a creep corner. Do you like creep corner?
And if anyone wants to donate to a good cause, as November approaches.
Go ahead and message us on Facebook or Instagram. Shoot us an email at 5050artsproduction@gmail.com. And And when you message us, use this week's secret passcode, which is Angry Octopussy.
Yeah! That was one angry octopussy, y'all.
That was a very angry Octopussy.
They just kept tugging on their own rope and weren't giving them any love, so that's what they get.
Listeners out there, keep your octopussies happy.
That's damn right. That is correct.
You got anything else?
No, I think that should do it.
Cool.
That was a good one. We love a new writer, so thanks, Sonia.
So this has been fun, and until next week, this has been Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
Octopussy, octopussy, octopussy on the beach. She will eat your face and your torso if you are not sweet. Whee!
Is that a face sitting